For a federal judge himself to be sentenced for his role in a drug scandal involving a stripper. And as 11 Alive's Keith Whitney shows us, some say Judge Camp should get a punishment just as tough as the ones he handed out from behind the bench.
Last October, after trying to buy drugs from an undercover FBI agent for himself and the stripper with him, the 67-year-old senior judge resigned before pleading guilty.
I mean, this man gets off the bench, goes and parties off Old Metropolitan Avenue, using narcotics, purchasing narcotics, having weapons on him, using his government property to solicit for sex, having a good time.
Camp had a reputation for being tough on defendants, and many have been outraged at what is expected to be a slap on the wrist for a judge who often showed no mercy himself.
Tone of the chapter was very upset about him being able to retire before pleading guilty in order to, keep his pension. If you work for any company, you don't normally get that right. And, being a federal employee, those are taxpayers' dollars.
The National Action Network says it has been contacted by several defendants who faced Camp when he was a judge. The group is hoping that U.S. Attorney Sally Yates will continue to investigate whether Camp was fit to sit in judgment of others when in his off hours he was living a double life of criminal activity.
But I believe she had an open request to the public if anybody, felt they had been wronged. So we would just like the opportunity to share with her, what's come through our office.
Now, we tried without success tonight to get a comment from the U.S. Attorney's Office, but all sides will be in court tomorrow. Camp faces 15 days in jail, but his attorneys will ask for less than that. They'll ask the judge for probation and community service. Keith Whitney, 11 Live News Tonight.
This afternoon, a former federal judge faced a sitting federal judge, and former federal judge Jack Camp was sentenced to 30 days prison and more after a case that involved drugs, guns, and a stripper. Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie broke the story of Camp's arrest and is live in downtown.
One prosecution document filed in this case sort of sums up the Camp conundrum. It says, as a veteran of the Vietnam War and a federal judge, there's no dispute that this defendant faithfully served his country. But it also says defendant's actions cast dark aspersions on the criminal justice system. Judge Camp, what would you like to say to those you once served?
Excuse me, gentlemen.
We don't have any comment, Judge Camp?
We don't have any comment.
30 days, I think, is a little lenient.
The Judge Camp that I know is completely different from the Judge Camp that one might understand from reading these documents.
Who knows how many times Jason Fowler would have seen then federal judge Jack Camp in action in federal court when he was Camp's law clerk. But this day... And you were here today in what capacity?
As Judge Camp's friend.
He says he flew down from Washington, D.C., where he practices law now. This time, Camp came to court for his own sentencing. Last year, Camp pled guilty to aiding and abetting the unlawful possession of controlled substances, unlawful possession of controlled substances, and conversion of government property. Documents indicate he gave a laptop to an exotic dancer, the same dancer with whom he used drugs. No one is to blame for what I did except for me, said Camp in court. And also, I'm so very sorry. I agree that he has disgraced his office, said sentencing judge Thomas Hogan, who handed down a sentence that included 30 days imprisonment, a year supervised release, a fine, and 400 hours community service.
It wasn't unexpected, but it wasn't what I would have hoped for.
If you have had an injury for the last 11 years that you were a sitting judge, how fit were you to pass judgment on people?
The defense cited a serious head injury in a 2000 bicycling accident, and a defense document suggested since 1999, Camp had been treated with standard antidepressant medications when his condition actually involved a mood cycling or bipolar disorder. All right, now a defense document says that a mood cycling disorder can have a manic phase. Quote, characteristic features of the manic phase are the excessive involvement in pleasurable activities that have a high potential for painful consequences, and so on. Some painful consequences today. Reporting live, Mark Winnie, Channel 2 Action News.